You are listening to the Nightly News Podcast, the voice of the Knights.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and we are so honored to be joined by our Internship Coordinator, Kristin Fike. Kristin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure, and also being joined by the Nightly News President, Noah Lopez. Noah, a veteran of the podcast. Welcome back to the show in your own right.
Yes, and welcome, Kristin, again. Thank you for coming on to our show.
Thank you, Noah.
Yes.
So we have a lot of really interesting things to talk about today. First of all, the amazing trip, Kristin, that you got to take to the Disney Internship Program. So you got to visit Disney, you got to learn more about their internship program and what opportunities that the internship program could give to our students here at Central Penn College. So first off, you're tan this time of year from going down. So tell us just a little bit more, generally speaking, about the trip itself. Let's talk a little bit more about your experience down there, and then we can kind of shift to how students might be able to get involved in this. So first and foremost, how did this all come to be?
Sure. So with the Disney College program, they allow the campus coordinators to do what's called an educator site visit, where you get to go to Orlando and spend some time with the Disney College program team, and then also visit with your student if you're able to do that. So I was fortunate to do that trip back in October. I did it during week 2 of the term, the week of Columbus Day. I was scheduled to spend some time with the Disney College program team and also visit with our student, Samantha, who is currently there. So I had a fantastic trip. I was also able to take my family. I did a working trip and then also a family trip as well.
I mean, geez, you did get to take your family, but it's not like you're just going on vacation. I mean, this was a very important thing. You'd been talking about this for months, about how excited you were to go down and learn more. I mean, you've obviously known about this program. You have put on workshops in the past. I know just off the top of my head, I can think of 2 or 3 students who we've had go down to be part of the Disney Internship Program. And so let's talk about, so what were some of the things that you learned? What were some of the experiences that you got to have? So tell us all about your trip, and then we can talk a little bit more about the process of being a part of the Disney Internship Program as a Central Penn student.
Absolutely. I have known about the program for about 20 years, actually. When I was a student here at Central Penn, I had some classmates that went and did the Disney College program from business administration. So I had known about it for quite some time. The program had gone away a bit here at the college. It actually dates back to the 90s. So we had students from our travel and tourism program who went there specifically. I actually have a picture of a student from 1997 in front of the Magic Kingdom Castle when they were celebrating their 15 years of the Disney College program back in 97. So we had a number of students in the 90s and early 2000s who did the program. We actually have 25 students total. Disney College program, they were able to pull some historic data for me.
Wow.
Which goes back to 2002. So we had even more before that.
You said that's from the Travel and Tourism Program?
Yes, Travel and Tourism Operations. That was our program back in the day.
I saw that in the folder when I was digitizing, history. I didn't see anything about Disney though, but I know they did drive, like they used to be in planes a lot. They went to the airport all the time.
Yes. So yes, it was a very popular program here in the 90s and early 2000s. And going to Disney was an opportunity for it. They called it an externship at that point.
Externship,
yes.
Really? Why is that?
No, I might also point out 2 of our Nightly News Hall of Famers, Christine Fusselman and Sherry Smith, both were alumni of the Travel and Tourism Program. Came back and got their bachelor's degree here as well. So we do have a connection with the Nightly News through that Travel and Tourism Program. But I think that's really interesting that over the years, the program in and of itself has changed over time. Now, you said that there was a brief sort of pause on the Disney Internship Program. Did you get a sense of why that happened and how it's different now?
Sure. So it paused because the Travel and Tourism Program went away.
So the Disney program itself did not go away.
Correct.
It was just our affiliation with them.
Correct.
I totally understand.
Yeah. Yes. So from my best guess, we had students in the program till probably maybe 2010. I'm not sure beyond that. So I had worked with Dr. Reif in 2022 to bring the program back, specifically under our business administration program. So that's where we started. Since then, we have had 3 students in the program, one currently there right now, and then we have another one who's scheduled to go down in January. She'll be there from January until August of next year.
Wow. So what is it about the program that is so extended? As you know, most of our internships, of course, most of our internships are about 180 hours. Of course, it does
8 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's a significant internship. So
yes.
Explain what are the types of things that they are doing through that lengthy period of time.
Sure. Yeah. So there are 3 facets of the program: earning, learning, and living. So it is meant to be at least 5 months. Most students do a 5 to 6 month stint there. This student coming up next year, she'll be there for about 8 months. But you can ultimately do a full year on the program, 6 months, and then 6 months. You can apply for an
living
extension.
over there at that point.
Yes. Yeah. So earning, learning, and living. So earning is working in one of the resorts or one of the theme parks. There are 17 different roles that students can work in. So they are working in one of those specific roles. They are being paid $18 an hour, and they are working between 30 to 50 hours a week in that role. They have to be fully committed to their role. They can't work outside jobs, part-time gigs, whatever it might be. They are fully committed to that role. Daytime hours, evenings, overnights when they're changing, Christmas decorations after the park closes at midnight, weekends, holidays, everything that goes into it.
Full commitment right there.
Full commitment. That is the earning aspect.
How does school work with that? How do you even do classes if you're working like a full-time job?
I know, right?
Yeah.
We can definitely talk about that. So the learning aspect is they have an entire career development program that students are able to take advantage of. They do that outside of their working time, and they get to be a part of a slew of different activities. There's a whole weekly calendar every single week of different opportunities, networking with people who work in different positions that you're interested in within the Disney company, networking and interviewing and all those different career development topics. But again, students do that on their own time apart from working. And they actually have what they call more or less a certificate program. So for the amount of hours that you do in that career development, you earn a Daisy diploma or a doctorate or a Goofy graduate, or sorcerer is 200 hours.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And I actually got to see a student earning sorcerer while I was there. So they did an informal ceremony for him. I got to sit in on it. It was so cool. They surprised him. He didn't know it was happening.
He didn't know?
He didn't know.
No way.
But someone had dressed up in a sorcerer costume and had come in. He was in a session with probably 50 other students, and they did a ceremonial, and awarded him that sorcerer. 200 hours he did on his own time.
That's
Isn't
fantastic.
that crazy?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Wow.
This is obviously a really interesting program, but to your point, I think that it's definitely different than other internships we do. Now, just as sort of a public service announcement, if any of you students out there are wondering what the internship process is like, and Kristin, of course, please chime in. We require, again, from non-health sciences, the health sciences internships in and of themselves are composed a bit differently, but we ask for 180 hours. But that's also dependent upon the site. So sometimes students will take internships and individual sites have different obligations that are needed. Now, sometimes one of the sort of, I don't want to say problems, but let's just say difficulties of finding internships for individuals has to do with the time frame. Our terms don't typically line up with the semester breaks that a lot of other schools will have. So there is a potential for an internship to sort of span over a 6-month period, but typically that's pretty much it. This sounds a lot different. So can you explain to me how, if a student, let's just say in their sophomore, even junior year, are considering this seriously, How does that have to work out, and how are their classes scheduled so they can still earn credit here at Central Penn?
Sure, good question.
Yeah.
So I do want to note that any student from any major can do the Disney College program. Disney does not require that you are earning credit from your school. It's entirely up to us. So any student from any major can apply and work in the program and not receive credit from us. So it's important to note that for students to earn credits from Central Penn, you have to be eligible. So you need to be in a program like business administration that is more relevant to earn credits from us versus medical assisting, phlebotomy, whatever it might be.
Yeah, because working at an amusement park has nothing to do with phlebotomy.
Exactly. Exactly. It is more pertained to our business administration program, or marketing or corporate communications.
Yep, CC,
exactly.
Corporate communications.
Yes, and the different roles that you might be working in. So the student has to work with me to determine their eligibility. And, we need to look at what that time frame is. Are you going to take other classes here at Central Penn? The students who have done the program have either been enrolled in INT 490, which is Disney College Program 12 credits, which I'm the instructor of, or they have taken other online classes. And the most that they've taken are 2 classes because, as Noah had said, it would be difficult to do a full course load in working 30 to 50 hours a week.
It sounds impossible.
Yes.
It probably is impossible.
So
I guess that depends how your time management skills are.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
But listening to how involved this Disney thing is, like, not only are you doing the job, but you also have to do these little Disney classes as well, along with your college classes. So,
well, in fairness, yes, you are at Disney, but you're sort of on an island. You don't really know a whole lot of people. I don't know. You probably don't have a whole lot of transportation, so you're kind of probably just working and doing school like all of the waking hours that you have for the most part.
Yeah.
Is it?
Sounds like suffering. But it sounds fun. It could be fun.
I guess that depends who you ask.
Yeah.
So there is an entire, experience around this. You are living, they essentially have a college campus where you are living. It is a beautiful facility. It was built in 2021, so it was fairly new. And you are rooming with 3 other individuals who are on the program with you. And they are across the country and internationally. So you're living with students, you're, learning about them and their different cultures. So there's that aspect. But then also you get free Disney tickets. So you get to go into the parks on your days off, which you do have 2 days off a week.
Okay.
You get to go and enjoy that, with your roommates or, people that you work with. So
do we get to keep the tickets? Like if we wanted to take our family? Like later on in the year?
You do get discounted tickets for a family as well.
Oh, nice.
And they do provide transportation for you to get back and forth from work and obviously to the different parks. They do day trips to Cocoa Beach and Legoland.
Legoland, wow.
Yeah, all the different things in and around Orlando. So while it sounds overwhelming, it is a full immersive experience. You are kind of in that Disney bubble that they call it.
Kind of sounds just like what Central Penn does with the Hershey program. Is it kind of the same thing?
Yeah, it's very, very similar. Yes, just on a much, much larger scale.
Yeah. Well, so tell us a little bit more. Okay, so you got to go down, you got to experience all this. I'm so glad that you got the opportunity to meet up with our student and really kind of learn the ins and outs of the program. What were some of the things that you learned, especially being, you've known about this program, you've worked with students to be in this program. What were some of the things that you learned actually being there versus where you had been previously?
Yeah, so I spent time with the Disney College program team specifically. I have true direct contacts. There's a recruiter and then someone who works with me on the administrative end. So my day was spent with them, and I learned something from them every time I talked to them. And, even from my first visit, I did this visit back in 2023. And I also learned there was another school, a school from Georgia that was there on the visit with me. So I even learned, from them. They have a lot more students in the program than we do.
It's a little little closer.
Yes,
in fairness.
Exactly. I spent time with them, and then I also spent time with an individual who oversees the working aspect, the earning. So like I said, it is earning, learning, and living. And they have what they call program champions for those different areas. They have over 300. So they want to make sure the students who are on this Disney College program, they have people who are championing them, because these students are working alongside Disney employees, part-time and full-time employees. So that they want to make sure that students have the support that they need. It's a huge company. So having these 300 champions that they can go to directly in their role or whatever it might be, if they have questions, concerns, and just making sure that they're making the most of their program. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned on this trip specifically.
What type of positions are you usually getting when you go there? Like, for example, if I were a business student, am I only doing things like, marketing and things like that? If I'm in communications like me, like I do a lot of, news writing and public relations and maybe video production and graphic design. Like, do they have those type of positions there at the park?
That's a good question, Noah.
Yeah.
So there are what's called professional internships with Disney, and those are the internships that are major specific to the corporate communications, to the marketing, to the accounting, IT, whatever it might be. Disney professional internships are completely separate from the Disney College program.
Oh.
The Disney College program is meant for you to go and work in one of the resorts or one of the theme parks. So in those 17 different roles, you might be in guest relations. You might be in food and beverage. You might be working in one of the resorts in janitorial. You might be working in a restaurant. You might be working in one of the attractions specifically. One of our students.
That'd be so cool.
One of our very first student in 2023, who I went to visit, Matt, he worked in Magic Kingdom in Pirates of the Caribbean attraction.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm imagining how cool it would be to work in the Buzz Lightyear laser tag thing.
I know. That would be awesome. I spent a lot of time in Toy Story Land, Noah, when I was there.
Okay.
It was one of my favorites.
So I think that, and certainly Noah, maybe, you're looking for an internship right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got an opportunity to do this.
I guess it doesn't hurt to apply, of course, right?
Hey,
it never hurts to apply for anything.
Well, Kristin, I am so glad that you got to do this. I know it's something that you really look forward to. Of course, you did get to take the family down, and I know that you took, sort of a separate vacation, but just the fact that you were able not only just to go see our students. I mean, anytime I go on a site visit, I love it. It's like my favorite time of the whole entire term. But to be able to go down and sort of put faces to the names and get to know these people, and you're out there advocating for us and Central Penn College and trying to develop new programming, and I just greatly, greatly appreciate you doing that. So I'm so glad that you had a good time.
It was awesome. It was fantastic. I mean, it was a lot.
Right.
A lot. You can't just pick up and go. It was 6 months of me planning for it specifically. But it was amazing. I was so grateful to have the experience.
Well, and we're grateful that you came on to chat about that today. Well, Kristin, in addition to the Disney internship, and of course, any of you who have questions about the Disney internship program, please make sure to reach out to Kristin Fike at centralpenn.edu. I will also put her information along with this, but really just general internship questions or concerns. So I do want to be clear that you work specifically with our professional studies students.
Correct.
So share with us what specific areas, majors here at Central Penn that you are, I don't want to say responsible for, but certainly, part of your job is to sort of help people find these positions. So which majors are you working with primarily?
Sure. So any majors within the School of Business and Professional Studies. Obviously, first and foremost, that is business. On the professional studies side, there is marketing, there's entrepreneurship, there's accounting, IT, criminal justice, paralegal, legal studies. So all of those programs I work with specifically.
And your role is layered and nuanced. It's not just a matter of, okay, you get an internship and Kristin sort of oversees that, which I also do for our comm department. It's also about you helping the student not only look for internships, but also make sure that based on their resume and their LinkedIn page that they're going to be, let's say, at least a candidate for some of these. So it's not just a matter of, oh, hey, it's internship time. Let me go up and talk to Kristin and see what she has. It's much more than that. It's let me look at your resume. Let me make sure your resume is where it needs to be. Let me make sure your LinkedIn page is where it needs to be. What else are you doing that we can continue to elaborate on this internship? So, other than some of those types of things, what are some other things that you do in order to help people through the internship process?
Sure. So I maintain a lot of our partnerships, Disney College program being one of them. The other major one is Washington Internship Institute, where students can go to DC and spend time there and do their internship. So I maintain those partnerships specifically. I maintain partnerships with local employers. They're reaching out to me on a regular basis saying, hey, we have this opportunity. Can you share it with students? Do you have a student who would qualify? So I can be kind of that middleman between an employer and a student, trying to make the best match. But all those other things that you just mentioned that go into getting an internship, getting your resume ready first and foremost, and doing online applications, interviewing, having something to wear for the interview, what's the process after I accept it, and then being in the internship course while you are on the experience. So I oversee INT $299 and $499 for professional studies, instructing that course while students complete.
You made a really good point here, and I want to take the time to talk about this. Something to wear for an interview. You have the amazing career closet. Share with us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I think it's a wonderful resource for our students. I wish more students took advantage of it. But we have an actual career closet on campus with probably 100, 600 pieces. I don't even know. I haven't counted most recently, but we have a ton of different professional items, suits and, suit separates and shoes and all those different things that students might need that are free and do not have to be returned after you wear them for an interview, for your internship or a full-time job, whatever it might be.
I can't tell you how many times I've taken students down there because if, let's say I have a presentation in the class or something like that, just for that. And then I explain to them, like, look, last thing you want to do is have to go spend all this money on a new wardrobe. If you go into the career closet once a term and grab an item, each term that you're here, you're going to end up having at least enough to get you through a week at your new position so you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff too. So again, if you're interested in the career closet, please reach out to Kristin. Okay, so the last thing that I want to talk about here, Noah, you're running through the internship process right now. Share with us a little bit. I know it's and you've already kind of mentioned this, you're still in the process of seeking.
Yes.
But as a student, you are thinking in advance. You've been thinking about this for the last couple of terms. You know when you want to take your internship. Can you give the students out there who may not even be as far as you maybe some tips on how they might approach this, other than, of course, going to see Kristin?
Well, the main thing that you should do is a mistake that I have made is don't wait too long. You should do it as early as possible, honestly, because a lot of these positions are opening up very early, maybe even months or sometimes a year in advance. So it's really, really good to look ahead and make sure you apply, because I'm sure that I've missed out on tons of spring internships. I want to do it in spring because I waited until maybe a couple months ago to start applying, which, I mean, it's not bad. There's still time, but I think the main thing you want to do is not wait too long, because I had a friend who he waited too long and didn't get an internship because it was too late. So that's a big mistake you can make. Another one is just really make sure you put your all into those applications. One thing I was running into is I was just like, I don't know how many examples I should put of my work here. I don't know what I should use an example here. Some of them didn't allow me to connect my portfolio, so I had to pick and choose what things I've done to represent myself on that application. And it's like, wow, what do I put here? There's just so much stuff. So, I mean, I can segue into that. Make sure you have a portfolio. Really?
Well, and Noah, you mentioned that some places wouldn't allow you to attach a portfolio, but if you use Skills First, which is also another tool that our Career Services Department offers, you can just basically hyperlink it on your resume, which is, even to this day, that's still what I do. On my CV, I have at the very top a hyperlink to my portfolio, which is another option.
Use Skills First?
Of course.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, in fact, I just used it for my annual evaluation. I actually have right now, I think, 8 different portfolios that I have. 8
portfolios. That's
of
pretty cool.
different subject matter.
It's pretty large.
Skills First, and I just want to give a quick plug for Skills First. Skills First is the easiest portfolio tool I've ever used.
It's pretty cool.
Simple,
it's very simple
to use as possible. And again, another wonderful thing that our career services team offers. Well, Kristin, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about one final initiative, and this is something that the Career Services Office is offering through the end of the term. It is called Level Up Your Career Development. Could you share with us some information about that and an opportunity for students to win gift cards to local businesses?
Absolutely. So Level Up Your Career Development is an opportunity for students to dive into some of those career development topics, building your resume and interviewing and networking and all those different things. It's meant for you to utilize the Skills First platform and watch a series of videos that only takes 22 minutes of your time to review those, learn a little bit about career development to get you started or meet you wherever you are in your career development path, just to find out, more information. So that's the premise around it. Again, taking 22 minutes of your time to watch the series of videos that we share with the student specifically, taking a quiz, series of questions on those videos, and then if you get all of them correct, you enter your name into winning some gift cards during the fall term.
Another thing that I just really appreciate, and I always love to have you and Steve on because, and I've said this 100 times and I'll say it 101, I think the most underutilized office on campus is your office. I think every single student, although I don't know if you want every single student because that might overwhelm you, but we want every single student to participate in everything that Career Services is offering. And honestly, as somebody who has benefited from working with Career Services Office of Schools that I've went to, I cannot believe that more people don't know about what you do, and that's why I'm always here trying to help you in any way I can get the word out about all the things that you're doing. So first of all, if you have any interest in the Disney internship program, you can always reach out to Kristin Fike. You also mentioned the Washington internship program, which is also available as well. Or if you're a student who is interested in doing an internship. So one thing I do want to point out is that it's not just for on-ground students. Frankly, I try to advise my students on ground or online, if they are switching careers, if they don't have a lot of experience, that an internship is the way to go. Yes, you can do a capstone, but I would argue it's that experience that's going to make all the difference. So even if you are an online student, if you don't have a lot of experience in that area, doing an internship can help, and we can certainly work around schedules. I've worked with people who are working a full-time sort of 9-to-5 job and still were able to do an internship as well. In fact, one of the people I had worked at the York County Library. So things like that can happen. So if you're out there thinking, I'm not going to be able to do it, you can. It's all about a matter of if you think that it's going to be valuable for you. So of course you can always reach out to Kristin about the internship process, or you can reach out to Kristin and Steve about the Level Up Your Career Development program that they're running through the end of the term.
I do want to piggyback on that, Professor Miller. Internship is no longer a stereotype of a young 18-year-old, getting experience in the field. It is anyone and everyone, as you had said. I have students from 18 to their 50s who do internships.
Our intern of the year last year, Rosanna, is a
awesome.
Non-traditional student.
Exactly.
I don't want to call her out by age.
Yes. It is for anyone and everyone who you said are changing careers, or maybe they've been out of the workforce for however many years, raising children or whatever it might be, or they just want to get more experience in the field. So it is for anyone and everyone.
And I'm glad you made that point. Well, Kristin, thank you so much, as always. I can't thank you enough for sharing your experience. I was so glad to hear about your adventures in Disney. But of course, there's so much more that you and Steve offer in the Career Services Office. So again, I just thank you so much for your tireless efforts to help our students here at Central Penn get ahead.
Absolutely. We appreciate your support. We love all of our faculty champions, you being one of them.
And I appreciate your support, actually.
One postscript. I haven't talked to Steve about this yet, but I'm going to have him on in the winter term to celebrate. Did you know Steve was the very first guest?
Yes.
On this show.
Wait, really?
Yes.
On this
Steve
show.
was the very first?
And 10 years since that very first podcast is coming up this February.
Wow, 10 years.
So of the Nightly News podcast.
It's anniversary, man.
That went by so fast.
Right?
We need to have a party for it.
Well, maybe. Something we'll talk about at our next club meeting. And of course, Noah, thank you so much as always for not only bringing your insight, but bringing your experiences looking for an internship. As always, it's such a wonderful pleasure to have you on, and we're going to have you on as many times as possible before you walk across that stage.
Of course.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. We want to thank the Internship Coordinator, Kristin Fike, and Nightly News President, Noah Lopez. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. We'll see you again next time.
Greetings, knights. This is Sir Will, your mascot, and you're listening to the Nightly News Podcast. Huzzah!
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm so honored to be joined by the Clinical Coordinator and Professor of Surge Tech, Brionna Crisamore. Brionna, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my absolute pleasure to have you. We're also being joined here by one of our Surge Tech students and Nightly News reporters, Jules Quare. Jules, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here.
Well, we're certainly happy to have you. We want to talk a lot more, and this is all coming from not only Jules being a part of the program, but Jules has, in the past, one of the first articles that she did was an article about Surge Tech, what it is, learning more about one of our newer programs here at Central Penn College. So that's really what we want to focus on today. We want to focus on what Surge Tech is, how both of you sort of got to this point, how you got involved, Brionna, in becoming a professor of this wonderful science. Jules, how you felt this calling, and talk a little bit more about a very exciting news that we talked about in our pre-show meeting, the Surge Tech Club, that's going to be coming up. So a little bit more about that. Well, let's start here. Brionna, how did you end up here at Central Penn College?
So I was a surge tech at Memorial Hospital. I had been a surge tech for about 8 years at that point. I actually had a nurse stop me and ask me if I ever had thought about teaching. I just had this abundant amount of knowledge, and she said that she thought I did really great with precepting. I actually had Hack reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to teach there. It just wasn't a right fit for me. And then we actually had one of the previous instructors come in, and I told them my interest, and I was like, you know what, this sounds pretty fascinating. So quickly did it happen. I applied and I was hired for full time, and I've been here for a little over 2 years now.
I can't believe how fast time goes.
It really does.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It seems like only yesterday.
I know, exactly.
You joined us. Well, okay, so obviously that was pretty straightforward how you ended up here, but how'd you end up in this industry?
It's definitely something I never knew was a thing. Surge tech isn't something that's spoken about. Most people don't even know what we do, or that you can do it in such a small amount of time. I actually had a friend who stumbled upon it when they were looking into college. They were thinking about being a nurse, but they didn't really want to be a nurse. When they stumbled into it and actually were in the program, I actually went to the same college that they went to. It was McCann at the time, which is no longer around here in this area. I signed up and went 4 months later right into Surge Tech. I thought it was fascinating that I could help a surgeon in surgery, save a life, but not be a surgeon. And I didn't really want to be a nurse. So the idea of being in the action and being in the OR and helping and fixing things and fixing people just fascinated me, and I've been in love ever since.
One of the things that people always say to me, and I greatly appreciate, there's no loss short of enthusiasm coming from you. Like, every time I see you, this big smile, even just talking about it right now, like, in being a professor, like, you need to make and figure out how you can, I know sometimes we deal with some dry material, and those are things you need to know, but just the enthusiasm that you have about your craft, I mean, it goes without saying that enthusiasm is infectious, which is where I'm going to bring Jules in here. Jules, you have, in fact, I don't think I've ever even talked to you about this specifically, but what was it about the Surge Tech program here at Central Penn that spoke to you?
The program here specifically was the affordability and the distance from home. It was close enough where I could still come home when I wanted. I could still be in contact with my family, but I was far enough to be independent. I have my own dorm. I have a vehicle. I go out on my own to go shopping. I'm fending for myself, but I'm not a state away. I'm not hours and hours away. I could still come home whenever I want. So that was the main reason why I chose the school. And then the accelerator program, I'm done next year. I'll be able to get into my field of work. So that was the main reason why I chose Central Penn specifically. But the field has just, I always wanted to be in the medical field. It was something that I set on at a very young age. I had no idea about surge tech. My senior year still had no idea on what I wanted to do, just knew I wanted to be in the medical field. I was planning on taking a gap year to research, but it was probably like my second to last month, and we had an assignment to apply for fake jobs. So I was looking through job listings, and I saw surge tech. I did a little bit more research, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I get to be in the OR. I get to assist the surgeon, but I don't have to go through all this schooling. I won't be in so much debt, and I get to do what I want. I get to help people. I get to be in the healthcare field, and I'm right where I want to be, in the action, in the OR.
One of the cool things about being on a college campus is I can kind of get this sense that we're all sort of here to help people. Mm-hmm. I mean, even if, I study what I study, you study what you study, at the end of the day, it can't just be about money. Of course, money's nice and having a great life is nice and all of this. Of course, we got to pay our bills. I get all of that. Yeah. But at the same time, we're in this field forever. I mean, the rest of our working adult lives, and we need to, at least in a sense, like what we do. So it's got to be more than just, I want to make money. To me, I'm sure not everybody necessarily feels this way, but for me, that's why I got into teaching. I had a person that I still look up to, and I share this with a lot of students, so hopefully any of you who've never heard this story don't think any less of me. But Jules, when I was in your position, I almost failed out of college. Came to school, I was very similar. I stayed in Pennsylvania, but I went to Slippery Rock. In my first year, I did not apply myself the way that I should have. Really my first semester, and I really struggled. And then I got into my second semester, and the struggle continued. And I had a professor who saw something in me. At the time, I'm not really sure what, but at the time, he basically pulled me aside and offered to work with me weekly until I got back on track. His name was Dr. James Laux. I talk about him all the time. He's since retired at Slippery Rock, but is still a professor emeritus at Slippery Rock. I mean, he changed my life. He literally changed my life. If not for this one chance class where he basically asked us to raise our hand and talk about why we've been struggling in the class, if I wouldn't have decided to get up that day, I wouldn't be sitting here, because it was that one day. And it's so crazy how unbelievable it is that your life can just change trajectory based on one moment. That's when I decided that this was what I wanted to do, because he had such an amazing impact on me just doing his job. In hindsight, he was just doing his job. Like he went above and beyond. He didn't maybe need to do the things that he did, but that's what made it, for me, know exactly what I wanted to do. It's been a bumpy road to get where I am, but I always try to live the way that kind of he taught me how to be a professor. And so I think the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I think in working with the folks who work in the healthcare industry at Central Penn, so I mean our OTA, our PTA, our surge tech, even now with Ann Hoffman in the dental program, you want to help people. I mean, that's why you're getting into this. I mean, long hours, difficult times when you're dealing with difficult situations, obviously medical situations. In the end, like, you just want to help people, right?
Absolutely. I always say that this is a passion job. You really find passion for it. I feel that same way. I am very passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about teaching the students, and it is not always an easy task, so you have to remind yourself that passion all the time, and I always tell the students too is, while I might be teaching you, you might operate on me one day.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
So yes, I want to be as confident as you as I am in my own skill set. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm sending out there, I would allow them to operate on my mother. I would allow them to operate on my dad. I'd operate on myself, So it is a big task if you really look at it in the broad spectrum of things.
Well, speaking of that, talk to me a little bit more about what Surge Tech actually is. Now, I do want to preface this by saying Jules did a fantastic article I will put along with the podcast description, and so we can please read that. Jules has done some amazing work thus far in our time with the Nightly News. But just a real quick overview. Tell me what are the types of things that somebody in the Surge Tech program is taking away after they graduate?
I will definitely piggyback on that. That was a great article, Joel. I did read it, and I did love it, and I did compliment her when I saw it. It was a good article, so definitely read it. So essentially what we do is, to put it in like a simpler term, we kind of assist surgeons in surgery. So we do a lot more than just assisting. We're making sure that we're also the patient advocate. So once that patient is asleep, it is so easy to remember that, to forget that there's a person underneath the drapes. So we drape every patient, right? So that is our job to remember. So anytime someone comes in the room, I always look at them that they're my brother, they are my sister, they're somebody that I love and I care about, because then I'm going to do the best job that I can do as a surge tech. So I'm going to make sure that my instruments are sterile. I'm going to make sure that everyone in the room is using aseptic technique. That means opening things properly to make sure that we're not cross-contaminating and make sure that we're not introducing a bacteria into this patient that could kill them or affect their life in a negative way. We also are, we could train nurses in the OR. We can train med students and residents and help the surgeon as they're doing the surgery. So anticipation is a big one, so we have to have understanding for each surgical procedure that we do. Definitely making sure that you love this, because that is a lot to carry. But the more you love it, the easier I feel like it just gets to be over time.
Jules, what is your goal? I mean, obviously to be a surge tech, right? But do you have, I'm sure there's more to it than that. Are there different sort of pathways that you can go through? Tell me a little bit more about this.
There is so many different directions I could go with this. My end-term goal, hopefully, is to move up the clinical ladder. Like I said, I always wanted to be in the healthcare field. Right now, I just did not feel that direct patient care was in for me, like becoming a nurse and going into nursing school. So I went this route. So I have all the baseline knowledge to go just about anywhere I want. If I wanted to go for surgery, I could go for it. I'm with the surgeon already. So I definitely want to move up the clinical ladder. My first step would be going and becoming a first assist. So it's basically just an advanced surgical technologist. You have the CST credentials, and you're more of an assistant during the surgery. Like, you can actually close up the patient and be there more. You gain more knowledge. And just my goal is to continue moving up the ladder, hopefully.
Do you have any other healthcare workers in your family or anything like that gave you this passion?
My aunt is a nurse. I'm not really in much contact with her, so it was mainly just watching my father go through a lot of health scenarios. Ever since I was like 8 years old, he's always been in and out of the hospitals. So just seeing that, I wanted to be a part of saving someone else's father one day.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I've had a ton of, let's just say with PTAs, when I ask them like why they got into this, they're like, well, I was a soccer player in high school and I tore my ACL, and I was in physical therapy forever and realized like how important this job is. It's so weird how our life experiences kind of help us develop our own passions and enthusiasms. That's super interesting, Jules, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about the Surge Tech Club. Tell us a little bit more. So this is something that has been around, but it's based on our pre-show meeting. You said about how a new gentleman is coming into as the program director, Chris Kapp, and together with Chris, you're going to work together to revitalize the Surge Tech Club. So share with us a little bit more about what you have planned.
Yeah, so we actually have all the surge techs are going to be voting. We're going to have a president, a vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. So how this will work is from here on out, the interop students, so that would be like the students in their third term, they will have a chance to be the president and the treasurer. And then the fundamentals, which will be the first term students, they will have a chance to be the vice president and the secretary. This being so as they go on with the program, they can move up in their position. It also will help when new students come in, they'll have people in those pre-existing positions that can explain the positions to the new students. So this is going to be a continuation of all the students as they grow. This is to really help solidify as we go on and we become surge techs. There are conferences that we are required to do. They're continuing eds. So with these conferences, so we have the AST. They are the Association of Surgical Technology. They are really in charge of a lot of our conferences that we have across the country. We also have state conferences through the AST. So our program director, Professor Chris Kapp, is also the president of the AST for the Pennsylvania division. So this will help when they decide if they want to be president of the AST for the Pennsylvania division, right? They can go about this and the process and understanding that there is more that we can do. Also, getting them used to having these conferences will also help them when they are surge tech and need to go to the conferences and see how much fun they can be, and really to revitalize those conferences altogether, because they just seem to be dying out. Everyone wants to do everything online, and that's not fun.
Boo.
Exactly.
I attend to, at least over the last few years, a couple of different conferences. I do one national, one statewide, and I'll tell you, during COVID, so I have presented 5 years in a row at the Popular Cultural Association National Conference, and of course 21 and 22 are both online, and it's just like, it's not the same.
It's not the
same.
same.
The last 3 years I've gotten to see San Antonio, Chicago, and New Orleans, and it's not just about being in the city. It's about getting around like-minded people and reconnecting with old friends that you don't get to see. And I mean, it's literally, for me, as somebody who's trying to continue to get published and things like that, it's opening up opportunities, opening up doors for me. That's where these conferences come into play. And even at the state level, I go with Steve and Kristen from Career Services to the PennACE State Conference, the Pennsylvania Association of Colleges and Employers. This will be my 5th year presenting there.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And well, we haven't gotten accepted yet, so let's hope we do.
Yes.
But no, it's these in-person conferences. Yes, it's professional development, but it's also networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's also being around like-minded people, and even just kicking back and enjoying a dinner with not even talking about work. Like,
Right.
It has so many benefits. I understand that one of these conferences will be coming to Central Penn next May.
It will be. We are so excited. We want the students to come and take a part, and for other people to see as well. So we will be hosting it in the conference center. Generally, this was done at the West Shore Hospital, and the conference center is just a little smaller. So this will be a big opportunity for Central Penn to really get on the map. And other people across, other surge techs across the map are actually from Pennsylvania are going to see Central Penn College. So we're very excited about that.
Well, I certainly hope you have the opportunity to show them the amenities that we have here. And,
Absolutely.
And if any other people that they know are interested, they can send them on over.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to tell you that this has been so wonderful to get to learn more about both of you. Now, keeping in mind that, Jules, this is, and this is part of what we kind of talked about, part of the allure for this program is the brevity of it, right? You're in and out in a relatively short amount of time, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. Tell me a little bit more about the course load.
Definitely not easy, but I will say it's all completely worth it. That's just what I keep telling myself. It may be difficult, but in a year I'll have my degree, and it's not even just credentials to work. I'll have an associate's degree, which most colleges could take up to 2 years or more. So it is difficult, but I just have that mentality to keep pushing, keep going. We have about 3 classes. This time I'm lucky I have most of them online besides my surge tech class that's always in person. So I have a lot of time to come in, do my schoolwork, practice. Doesn't make it any easier, but I am grateful to have the time to do so.
Just as an aside, how do you, you've stepped right into the nightly news and you have been unbelievably amazing. How did you, tell me how you got involved with the nightly news and why that was something that was so interesting to you as well?
Well, I'll be honest here. I came to the club fair the one day with not much of an intent to join any. I heard about the free pizza.
Of course.
And I had run out of my meals for the week, and it was a Thursday, and I had one more day to go before I could go home for the weekend. So I went down, and I was eating my pizza, and I just kind of got pulled aside and dragged over to your guys' table, and I was listening to it.
Let me guess, it was Noah.
It was Noah, of course. I was just sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, well, it's the summer term. I'm not really doing much besides schoolwork. There's no reason to not get involved, so I figured, why not? I'll show up. And here we are.
You're amazing, and I do appreciate not only just the written stuff. Now you're on the podcast. You're bringing a lot more to the table as well. We haven't had the chance to really talk about this on the podcast, but you were one of the driving forces behind our haunted house that we did. The first haunted attraction that I can ever recall since I've been here. We had over 70 people. Yeah. I mean, tell me about, I don't want to go on and on about it, but just tell me about, in hindsight, now that it's over and everything, we can reflect on it. What were some of the takeaways that you had from the event itself?
Honestly, I just enjoyed it, really. Like, I was just there for the fun of it. I had a lot of fun getting to know more people a part of it. It gave me, like, more of a feel to be a part of campus now that I had actually done, like, an event, and I got to meet more students and see more people kind of go around and promote it a little bit. I don't know if there's any, like, other specific takeaways other than that.
Just as a postscript, that was the most well-attended film series that I can recall. We did have one during COVID where I think I got about 100 people, but that's because literally no one else had anything to do, and it was outside. But ever since sort of the more modern iterations of the film series, that was by far the most well-attended. And in terms of events on campus, without a doubt, one of the most successful ones ever.
100%.
And it's all thanks to you, because Brionna, I'll tell you, one of the things that I'm sure you'll find out in the club is a lot of the times the club members have these big ideas, and then a lot of the things to do end up on the advisor. So and I'm sure Jules will tell you, I was a little skeptical at first. And then when I realized that they were all like super, super bought in, and really all I had to do is just make sure they had food and buy the stuff for them, it was a piece of cake. So kudos to you.
Good job.
Well, as we get out of here, again, Brionna, I want to thank you again for spending the time down here today. I am going to put that article that Jules wrote along with this, but just any final thoughts if anybody out there is thinking about being a part of the Surge Tech program here at Central Penn?
Absolutely. I mean, if you ever looked up surgery, I always tell people, look up TikTok. Surgical technologists are all on TikTok. Obviously, you're not going to find them if you're not looking for them, because, it's one of those, it kind of goes off of what you're streaming, what you're looking at. You can find us on Surge Tech on YouTube. Margaret from the library actually created a little directory for Surge Tech 2 that has different podcasts and things that are on it. She is doing some amazing work in the library. She's super helpful when it comes to all of those. So if there's any other programs that you're looking into, you can find them on the directory for the library. But we're always trying to do interesting things. So we even have a cadaver lab where we will be fixing and plating ankles so that the students get a chance to understand how it feels to drill into a bone. So we're always...
Better you than me.
Yeah. We are doing robotic training so that you are more prepared when you go out to the robot. So we really do implement a lot of things that other programs don't do. And this is just to give you such a big and good understanding before you go out into the clinical world. And it's not so much of a shocker when you get out there. That's how a lot of mine was. And I vowed when I came to teach that I was going to make sure that our students were super prepared and didn't feel that shock as much.
Jules, any final thoughts? Any words of wisdom to either fellow students or future Surge Techs?
Words of wisdom would be as everyone mentioned, it is definitely a job that you have to have the passion for. Without it, there is no way you're going to be able to get through the program. With the amount of workload that you have, it is no joke. The job, it is very demanding. As it's mentioned, you are inside a body cavity. You are drilling into bones, and it's not going to be a cadaver when you're out in the real world. It's going to be a real person, and then you're expected to just go about your day as if you just weren't hand deep inside of a stomach or something. So it's definitely something to keep in mind that you have to be prepared for it. but it is 100% worth it if it's something you're up for.
Well said. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. I want to thank the clinical coordinator and professor of Surge Tech, Brionna Crisamore. Brionna, thank you so much for joining us on the Nightly News Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun. Thank you so much.
Well, and both of them got to can say that they've been on a podcast, because I asked
have.
earlier and neither of you had been on a podcast. And Jules, as always,
First.
not only thank you for just being you, but thank you for jumping headfirst into the Nightly News, and it seems like you're jumping headfirst into the Surge Tech Club as well. You are, trust me, all of the hard work that you are doing now is 100% going to pay off for you. So I know that it seems busy and crazy and everything else when you're here, but trust me, all of the things that you're doing now are going to pay off when it comes to your career. I promise you.
Exactly. That's what I keep saying.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nightly News Podcast. For Brionna Crisamore and Jules Quare, this is Professor Paul Miller, and we'll see you again next time on the Nightly News Podcast.